favorable conditions to the woman at all levels. The Woman Agenda, breaking that silence, demanding accountability, transparency, and good governance. The Woman Agenda is deliberate and calculative in amplifying the voice of women. The Woman Agenda, Fridays, 3 p.m. on Women Radio 91.7, a platform on the way forward. Good afternoon. Thank you for staying with us right here on your Women Radio WFM 91.7. I hope your day is going on well. Well, at this end, it's a rainy Friday, and I think that's a way to help you relax and to ease you into the weekend. I don't know about you, but for me, I think this is just the beginning of saying, yeah, the weekend is going to be good. But if the rain stops your plan, that's totally up to you. All right, so this is 9 minutes after 3 right here on your Women Radio WFM 91.7, and you're welcome to the program The Woman Agenda right here on Women Radio. Now, The Woman Agenda is a deliberate and calculative program where we break the culture of silence while amplifying the voice of women and girls in demanding transparency, accountability, and good governance. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and of course, I'm excited to be with you this afternoon on the Woman Agenda because we have a very special guest who will be talking to today. We'll be, getting to know her, better, getting to know some of her programs, key initiatives, and of course, as a woman, how it has been like getting to where she is and being able to mentor young ladies too. So, I mean, it's going to be a robust discussion this afternoon. So, I urge you all to stay tuned and be part of this amazing conversation we'll be having this afternoon on the Woman Agenda. All right, so like we know, or rather, like I said earlier, we have a very special guest with us on the Woman Agenda. So we have the special advisor to the Kwara State Governor on Education and Policy Formulation. We have Dr. Adetola Salau with us this afternoon. Good afternoon, Dr. Adetola. How are you today?
Good afternoon. I'm good. It's raining cats and dogs out there.
How
It's
was it like
awesome.
getting here, with the rain and all of it?
It was really challenging, but it was
Yeah.
worth it. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for
Yeah, we're
having me.
excited to have you too. We're excited to speak with you this afternoon. So, yeah, listener, you've heard it. You've heard the voice of the special advisor to the Kwara State Governor on Education and Policy Formation right here in the studio with us. And of course, we're going to have a very good conversation this afternoon. All right, so just to know a little bit about Dr. Adetola Salau, she presently serves as the special advisor on education, policy formulation, human capital development to Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak of Kwara State. Now, with a strong background in science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, that's STEM education, she has been instrumental in transforming the state's educational landscape. Her initiatives focus on integrating STEM disciplines, promoting digital literacy, fostering gender equality in education. All right, so all of this is going to be incorporated into our conversation this afternoon on the program. So yeah, I definitely urge you to stay tuned and get to have this conversation with us this afternoon. So yeah, this is your Women Radio WFM 91.7, and it's about 12 minutes past 3 on the side of the radio. My name is Rose, and of course, you can be a part of the program by listening live from any part of the world. You can just log on to www.wfm917.com. Our phone lines are open 07000 917 Feel free to send us a WhatsApp message to 070 All right, so let's get into the conversation properly. Now, Dr. Salau, take us through your journey, up to this point where we get to meet you as, someone who is up there advising the governor on, policy formulation, education, and, I'm sure that this will also um, have a branch in female education too,
Oh, yeah.
all of it. So
Mhm.
just give us a little background of how you got here, because I'm sure this will inspire a lot of young ladies.
Okay. Sidebar. This story, I had to finally write some of it, and I say some because it's still not everything.
Yeah.
In my book, which I'll be launching next week, Tuesday, I wrote about my why I'm very passionate about educational reform, transforming education, particularly here in Africa,
Hmm.
in a book, one of the books, because I'm launching two books. One of the books, the first one is called Bridging Two Worlds, and my why was written in that book,
Okay.
and my journey. And the journey starts with me being the child, the product of two professors
Hmm.
who met themselves here in Lagos and relocated to the States to go to school overseas and returned back because that was one of their core beliefs, giving
Yeah.
back to the community. And I came back and I am still, I can't say was because
Mm.
I'm still embedded, still touched by being the child of two professors, being in an academic environment. I grew up in a universities because it
Yeah.
was more than one, plural. And then being in public service, it really impacted my life, watching
Mm.
them teach, care for other people's
Yeah.
children. And I I want to call it divine providence because I didn't plan on. My plan when I went to, 'cause in my story, I said from engineering to education.
Engineering. Hmm.
Yes, my desire, my
Yeah.
belief, my overwhelming drive was I was going to become an engineer. And then by this stage of my life, or even
Mm.
maybe later, I will come back to education. But I want to say it's divine providence because something happened, and I'm not going to say what it was. Go and buy my book. Something happened
Okay.
that changed the trajectory of my life.
Mm.
And I found myself immediately in the public sector and I started serving.
Okay.
And even when I tried to go back into private, when I came
Mm.
back to relocated back to Nigeria, I went into private. I was an engineer, project engineer, did work for a couple of years. I never had that satisfaction.
Yeah, it comes with
And
that.
I found myself back again running an NGO, running a social enterprise. And
Hmm.
before you know it, again, somehow,
Find yourself there.
again, go and get my book.
Okay.
Um, again, I found myself back in the public sector again.
Okay.
And it's such an interesting journey. That's
Mm.
why I had to finally write it. As I'm even talking about it now, and I'm just remembering how I started penning it down,
Yeah.
it has had so many twists and turns, just like any good story should.
Mm-hmm.
But the underlying theme that I see that was there
Yeah.
when I walked in here and I looked at your banners
Mm.
in the studio right here, the first thing that just struck me was the voice of
The
women.
women. Yeah.
And I kept thinking to myself, my second book, Reimagining African Education, is dedicated to my mom. And the reason I dedicated to my mom, I didn't dedicate to anybody. I mean, I have thank yous,
Mm.
but it's specifically dedicated to my mom.
Okay.
And I realized the reason it's dedicated to my mom is because she's the voice of all those women before her, and then
Mm.
her and after her, who taught me, who brought me to this place. And
Yeah.
hopefully now I'll be able to do the same for other women.
Mm-hmm.
Women who went through their own journeys, obstacles, their challenges, also utilized their gifts, nurtured other women. And not just women, they also nurtured young men.
Yeah.
And they just gave birth over and over and over. And I don't mean just their own children. I mean they
Mm.
gave birth to ideas, they took care of other
Of
children.
course.
They just gave birth to so many wonderful things that we're
Mm.
all enjoying and utilizing right now in the Nigerian community, in the Nigerian, in our space in
Yeah.
general, and not just Nigeria. There's a ripple effect. Other nations also benefit here in West Africa, across Africa. Those women, it just struck me, and I just had to mention that.
Oh, yes, definitely. Sometimes when you remember some sacrifices that our mothers and even women, who were with our mothers, some of the sacrifices they made, then it would totally make sense for you to actually have a reflection and say, yes, these women have actually done a lot of sacrifices. All right. So there you have it. That's just a story in a nutshell. And as she said, her book buy it so that you read the full story. Okay, and you know everything that you need to know. Okay, so yes, if you're just joining us, this is your Women Radio WFM 91.7. This is Nigeria's first radio station for women and their families. And we have with us Dr. Adetola Salau. She's a special advisor to the Kwara State Governor on Education and Policy Formulation. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and this is the program The Woman Agenda. All right. So, Dr. Salau, thank you for taking us through, a bit of your background and, what led you to where you are right now. So let's quickly get into Kwara State. Tell us a little bit about your initiatives, what you've been able to do so far, because from what you've said, we can see that there's a very great passion for education for you.
Yes.
That's like for you, because as you're speaking, I'm looking at you, I'm like, okay, this woman is all about education. So tell us some of the things you've been able to do, some of the initiatives as regards education, as regards even women too,
Of
education and
course.
all of that.
Of course. So I'm very fortunate in that this is my second stint in the public sector. The first time was 2020 to 23, serving under the auspices of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu
Oh, okay.
in Lagos State
Mm.
as a policymaker, his senior special assistant on education. And when I was there, I also carried out a bunch of programs, but a lot of it was underneath a big project that we call Steam Up Lagos.
Yeah.
And that project, this aim was to equip our students with skills necessary for the future job market,
Mm.
emphasizing practical learning experiences in the science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And I emphasize entrepreneurship too.
Okay.
And now I'm carrying it out, I'm passing it out along to
Mm.
Kwara State. So I
State.
called it Steam Up Kwara in Kwara.
Mm.
And there we've been able to work on a digital literacy program. Last year we had a free summer coding program. We expanded it to it becoming a full-time digital literacy boot camp. Last year over the summer it was at 6 centers. Now it's expanded to over 15 different centers. Last year it was 500 students that were boosted. Now we've aimed and we've been working with over 7,500 students.
Mm.
When we started it, it was aimed at ages 11 to 15. Now it's 11 to 16, 17-ish. And we're working with them on foundational,
Yeah.
fundamental. Well, it's the same.
That's all.
Fundamental, foundational
Mm.
knowledge in coding, algorithmic thinking, and the essential ICT skills. And when we say essential, it's one of the greatest strategies that occurred, not just last year, even this year, was sitting down and realizing that some of the children couldn't even turn on the computers. Quite a number of them had no idea how to utilize Word. And Word is a basic necessity now.
Mhm.
We're not even going to talk about getting to university.
No.
Even in secondary schools, being able to put together a document encapsulating, okay, this is my idea, this is what I want to submit to my teacher. Then being able to put together a PowerPoint presentation, these are my ideas, this is what I want to present to my teacher, this is what I
Yeah.
want to present to my class. It should be basic. And then we had an inaugural education conference last November, which was Future Ready Education, Advancing STEAM and Skills Development for our Nigerian youth. It was amazing. We had people from all over the world. I say world, it wasn't just Nigeria. We had Nigerians from the diaspora come and speak about their own ideas and what they envision for our youth. So
In the education conference you had?
Yes, in Kwara. It was in
Okay.
Kwara State.
Mm.
We had educators, policy makers, industry leaders. I mean, these people, like I said, from the diaspora, they were discussing strategies for preparing our students. And then we've also had a lot of international collaboration for teacher training and youth programs.
Yeah.
I have been working with the US Embassy in Abuja, and I continue. And right now we're working on setting up a corner in the innovation hub that we just launched in Lawrence. Beautiful space, by the way. We're going to have that space for cultural exchange and educational activities, which have already begun. We had a program with Boeing in, I believe that was March or April, and we trained over 25 students in conjunction with Boeing about space education. I mean, it was amazing. I was blown away. I mean, I was blown away during that training. And of course, as you correctly said, I am a woman, and I said my background is engineering and science. And even till today, there still exists quite a number of inequalities for us, and it doesn't start in the tertiary institutions. It
At
starts all
all.
the way in the secondary institutions. When you decide you want to be a science student, they tell you you're not good enough as a girl, you're not smart enough. One of the biggest things I have is driving gender equality, particularly in STEM, telling them that you're good enough, you're smart. So last year I partook of the Committee of Status of Women in New York, the
Okay.
UN program, trying to see how we can leverage a relationship with UNICEF, the UN Women, to infuse into our digital programs in Kwara State. And we had an event where I brought all these people. We sat down, we
Together.
talked about ideas. It was called STEM Education as a Catalyst to Accelerate Gender Equality and Empowerment of Women and Girls in Kwara State. It was really, really good. You see, like I said,
Yeah.
the reason why I see why I am so driven is just like your banner states here, the
The
voices of
voice
all
of
those
women.
women
Yeah.
that went before me, paved that way for me, and now it's my own turn to continue to pave that way. I'm just going to give this quick tidbits from one of my books. I believe it was the Reimagining African Education book, my second book. I wrote about an incident that happened to me last year.
Okay.
Every year, we celebrate the International Day of Women and Girls in Science in February. It's celebrated February 11th. And when I was in Lagos, I celebrated that day with so much pomp and so much joy with our students from various schools. So I knew that coming to Kwara, I had to continue, even more than anything, continue
Yes.
that. So last year was my first year of doing that in Kwara State. And we held it at one of our schools. We brought in students from, I believe it was 3 schools, because I had just started. I was getting my feet wet to know how to put this together. And I never forget, I had a very low key engagement, one on one session with the young ladies, saying, okay, let's talk. Let's talk to each other. What are your dreams? Let me tell you my own experiences. Let's just talk. Let's just chit chat.
Yeah.
And one of those young ladies told me that her dream, her passion is to become a surgeon. But what followed afterwards, after she said that, totally broke me. But I had to hold myself together while I was there, because remember, I was still talking to them live and I had reporters standing right by me
Yeah.
too. She said, is it really possible for me to be this? Can I really be this?
Wow.
And I asked myself, why should she be asking that like a
Yeah.
question? Why should she be doubting whether this was possible or
That's
not?
self-doubt.
And it wasn't just that she said it. She added the qualifier, is it really possible for me to do this as a woman?
Woman.
That's why I said it broke me. It broke me because what I expected to hear was, what are the things that I need to do in order for me to achieve this objective, this goal? Because I had that too. And I
Yeah.
told them my story that when I was 13, go and buy my book, both books. When I was 13, I decided I wanted to become a chemical engineer. So fortunately, like I said earlier, my parents were lecturers, so when were the university, so access to a library,
Yeah.
which I realized a lot of people didn't have that time, but I did. So I went to the library and I did research. What will it entail for me to become a chemical engineer?
Yeah.
And then I told my dad, and my dad, fortunately, they used to travel overseas for a lot of conferences. And my dad was also working in the climate change space till he died. May so rest in peace.
Amen.
So he traveled quite a bit. So he had access to getting material for me, and he'll bring them back. I even, as I'm talking to you now, I'm vividly recollecting one
Some of the
big book
materials,
that he
yeah.
brought back, and I had to start reading it. Which different universities offered what the chemical engineering, what's the different programs comprised of, what were the specific research areas. I mean,
Okay.
he brought back this huge book. I went back to find out what did it entail. And nobody told me it was impossible. I never had any doubt that it was possible for me to do this. So hearing this
From that young lady,
yes,
got
hearing
to
that young
you.
lady say, I'm really amazed that I didn't break down crying or I didn't scream, because anybody that knows me knows I'm very expressive. My first reaction, if I hadn't been in such a controlled environment, would have probably been to start screaming like,
Yeah.
no, it is very possible for you. So I had to be very calm and completely disregard. I mean, I had a time limit, but I'm like, you know what, this is very important. I probably am not only speaking to her right now, I'm speaking to
To
the
a
other
lot.
young ladies.
Yes.
And I explained to her that, yes, it is very possible for you to be a surgeon. And anything, I was also very candid that STEM subjects are quite hard. They require a lot of discipline and focus. And I explained that to her, and that anything that is good, we all know in life that is worth having, you will sacrifice, you will pay a price. But to
To have
actually
it.
tell yourself that and block yourself that it's not possible, that one, I just did not want to leave that school without addressing that.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, you have definitely touched a lot. You've talked about Steam Up Lagos that you took all the way to Kwara. You talked about the free summer coding, digital literacy bootcamp. Talked about the conference, education conference, in Kwara State, and of course, you also touched on, one who is very passionate on gender equality in STEM, encouraging young ladies, and through that, you never could tell how many others you were able to remove that doubt from. And that is something, we all lend our voices to, especially here at the Women Radio. So, quickly, let's look at some challenges you faced. Starting off from Lagos to Kwara, do they have similar challenges in terms of, the education sector, improving education, doing some of the initiatives, or, some of the things that you had to bring up? In both states, comparing both, what were some of the challenges you have faced, and how have you been able to, overcome these challenges to see that yes, your dream for Kwara State is actually coming to life?
Okay. Wow, where do I start?
Oh, there are a lot.
There's a lot
That
that
means
you
there's a
just
lot. So
unpacked
just
there.
a few of
Okay,
them.
okay. Let me start with the challenges for women. I will say, yes, as a woman, I faced quite a lot of challenges. My sisters who are all listening to me will shake their head that one of, particularly those of us who are in the STEM fields, that
Yeah.
one of the biggest challenges we face is being able to feel like you belong to that room, that you're good enough, because you keep on being told, sometimes directly, sometimes very subtly,
Yeah.
that you're not good enough.
Of
So
course.
that one is a challenge to itself. Then of course you do face the fact that you're a woman and sometimes improper advances are made, but that one requires a lot of wisdom and what's the other word I'm looking for now? Okay, it's totally just flew over my head. I had it before. Then talking about the different spaces where I have worked, of course they are different. Each area always has its own set of
Of
challenges,
course.
the way things are structured. It's like me, I tell people, I'm just sorry, I'm going to backtrack. I've worked in 4 different states in the US. I worked in New York, I worked in California, I worked in North Carolina, I worked in South Carolina. Anybody who knows the US knows that, first of all, in fact, we were making a joke about this. The United States, that united is a misnomer. It's not really united. It's different nations in one nation. I wouldn't even call them states. That's why I said nations. So expecting New York and California to be the same. Woo! Expecting New York and North Carolina to be the same. Wow. Of course they were different. Different challenges, different mindsets, different structure. And each time I had to adapt, I had to be flexible. So of course it's the same here too. Lagos is more of a coastal city. Kwara is more to the north. In fact, it's considered North Central now.
Yes, it is not central.
So you can't expect it to be the same. I was just telling someone how I had to adjust to how hot it is over there compared to Lagos. So it's totally different. And I did expect that.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there are some things that will still surprise one, but they are different. The key thing is to be able to go to a place and say, I'm going to thrive here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make the best of what I can in this situation.
Yeah.
And what can I achieve within the parameters of whatever the situation is. That's the key thing. I don't want to compare Lagos to Kwara because remember I'm still serving in Kwara right now. Maybe come back to me maybe in 2027. But
Okay.
I can just give an example
Mm.
from, like I said, context, my past. When I left New York, New Yorkers, particularly where I was,
Yeah.
I worked in New York City itself. And let me also say this: there are a lot of intersections between similarities between New York and Lagos. Very fast pace of life, the hustle mentality. I'm talking boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom. So I was in New York. I got used to that quick pace. This is how we talk, we do things till today. In fact, it took me. I relocated back to Nigeria in 2010. I believe it took me about 3 to 4 years to slow down my speech patterns.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. But I now left New York and relocated to California. And where I was in California was the Central Valley. They're very laid back. These are farmers. They like their breaks. They want to understand things over and over and over. So in New York, maybe I will explain maybe once or twice. When I was over there in California where I was, I could maybe explain 5 or 6 times. So it taught me to be patient.
Oh,
And it
that's true.
also taught me to appreciate a slower pace. And I also learned to enjoy how down to earth those people were. They were very, very down to earth people. Like I said, they were farmers. So bare bones, that's how they like things. And I got to enjoy that and appreciate that. So I think another lesson, not just for me, but also I hope for my people listening, is
Yeah.
when you go to a different place, of course, you want to compare it where you were before, but can we also look at what is the beauty in this place compared to where you were before? The other day, I was telling someone that just like I said, California slower pace, same in Ilorin, is a lot slower paced than Lagos, and
Lagos,
that
yeah.
has its advantages too. So it's good to also focus on the positives.
Okay, all right. So we'll leave it at that.
Yes.
All right, this is your Women Radio WFM 91.7, and this is the program The Woman Agenda. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser, and I have with me joining me this afternoon on the program, talking about some of her initiatives, some of her challenges, is Dr. Adetola Salau, who is currently serving as a special advisor on education, policy formulation, human capital development to Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak of Kwara State. All right, so just as we get to the end of the program, let's get to hear from you. Your advice for young ladies and what Kwara State should keep expecting students, parents, and Kwara State in terms of more innovation, digital transformation in education, and carrying the young girls along, because hey, a lot of them actually looking up to you, especially those in the STEM space. So what should they expect, and what would be your advice for the younger girls who are coming in and would want to find themselves where you are presently?
Buy my book.
Hey, voila.
No. I had to be a shameless plug today, guys. I'm launching that book on Tuesday. So I need people to constantly plug into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, go online and get details. I'm online, guys. I'm on social media. I'm on X. I'm also on Instagram. Okay, let me even see. I even have to remember what I am on X and what I am on Instagram. I'm coming. I'll give you my advice, girls. But I
Yeah.
want you to find me.
Hmm.
Find me online. I need more followers, as they like to call it. All right, there you go. On Instagram, it's my full name, Adetola Arike Salau. On IG, on X, What am I? I am Adetola Arike X S. Let me repeat that again. On
Okay.
X, I am Adetola Arike S. On LinkedIn, I am just Adetola Salau, one word together. And I am also on YouTube. I put up some couple of videos. I am Dr. Adetola Arike Salau on
On
YouTube.
YouTube. Okay.
Okay, so what would be my advice?
Hmm.
The biggest advice that I can give. I know I just spoke about it recently. Let me find it. It was something that came from my heart, and I want to give you guys from my heart. So, can you bear with me? Let me
Of
give it to you
course.
straight from my heart.
Yes, we need it straight from
Yes,
your
straight
heart.
from my heart. I just responded to someone
Yeah.
in regards to this, and I want it to be the same. I don't want ambiguity. Oh Lord. Why is it that when one is looking for something, that is
Sometimes it
when
just
it
disappear
just
at
disappears?
that
Yes.
moment.
Ah, bingo. I think I got it.
Okay.
Okay. Come on, girl. You got it.
All right. So this is just us patiently waiting, from words from her heart, and sometimes it is definitely worth waiting for when you get to hear words that will stick with you. Especially those that you have taken out time to sit down to write, curate them, put them together, and you're sure that yes, once you do this or once you say this, it will definitely be one. It will definitely be one to hang on to. All right, so yes, this is your Women Radio WFM 91.7, and of course, we have been speaking with
Okay.
okay, you got it.
I got it.
Okay, great.
Wow. The advice that I will give my sisters who are coming up will be to find your authentic voice. And I will explain this in detail. Find your authentic voice and channel it through what keeps you up, what drives you, and follow that path and see where it leads you. And I will also say, please learn to identify helpers and mentors. And then finally, oh, no, 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 this is not final. Then I'll also say, keep learning and iterating. And then I will say, be prepared to make mistakes and learn from them. Okay, so let me break them down one by one. Let's
Yeah,
start with authentic voice. When I say your authentic voice, please don't try to sound like anyone
at
else.
all.
This was the biggest thing for me. And that's why I said from my heart. I wanted to give this from my heart. It was the biggest thing for me. When I started teaching, I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
I believe it was my second year teaching. There was another teacher. She did such amazing work. I loved what she did. So I decided I wanted to copy her and I wanted to do exactly what she was doing, exactly how she was doing. And that has its place.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel connected to what I was doing because that wasn't
That was
me.
not you.
And it was lovely what she was doing. It was amazing what she was doing, but it wasn't me. And then to make matters even worse, she had a classroom where the students came in and met her in that classroom every day. I was what you call, in fact, now that I look back, all my experiences, except 1 year when I was teaching, all my experiences, I was always a traveling teacher. I never had a room. So, but it taught me about being flexible. It taught me about being ready on the spot immediately. Traits
Yeah.
that have skills that I still use to this day, of be learning how to work on the fly, learning how to have an office, a traveling office. It taught me that. So I found out that why should I try to be like somebody who just has one room, is working with the students coming, whereas every single day I'm going to these different rooms, which means a lot of times I have to be switching, I have to be code switching, I have to be role playing. I told myself, you're not her, you're not going to be her. And the way you think, from you can all hear the way I'm very passionate about mathematics and science.
Yeah.
She also had a mathematics background, but her background was for only primary education.
Oh.
My background is science and engineering, which means advanced math. I can teach all the way to university level. I can teach mathematics, I can teach science. So why should I compare myself to that? Shouldn't I draw on my own strengths? And I started doing that. And I found out the way I connected with my students was completely transformed. And after that, I said, no, 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 always be you. Find what works for you, be you.
Exactly.
And then I said, Channel, what keeps you late at night? What kept me late at night, even that time as a classroom teacher, was I wanted my students to have that comprehension. I had a lot of students who were very confused, particularly when I was teaching mathematics,
Okay.
who were very confused about what they were learning, who absolutely despised what they were learning. And then to make matters even better,
Yeah.
I identified with them. Because when I was in secondary school, I hated mathematics too.
Wow.
And I was very candid. I used to tell my students that I hated math, but I told them that what made a difference for me was I met a teacher who absolutely loved it. And I fell in love with math when I met that teacher, and everything changed for me. So my goal was to become that teacher who will make them fall in love with it. Even if they don't totally fall in love with it, at least they will understand and say, okay, this ain't, as we say in America, this ain't so bad after all. That was my goal.
Okay.
And then next, I said, follow that path and see where it leads you. Well, my path was I wanted my students to comprehend and learn better. And I just kept pushing myself to be better and better. I kept pushing myself in whatever schools I was for opportunities to go for professional development. Even if I didn't directly see myself as a leader, somehow I didn't realize I was positioning myself as a leader. I remember one of the schools that I taught in, that was during the advent of a lot of these ed tech things that we see around now. The smart boards just started coming into the classrooms. And this is even in the States, I'm talking about, guys. And they brought that smart board, and immediately I did research. I started teaching myself how to utilize it. I started downloading a lot of the trying to remember now, templates, seeing how they could work for me for mathematics, seeing how they could work for teaching science. Because remember, I'm still a science teacher at heart. And you know what I started doing immediately? Even if I wasn't an English teacher, because I saw that a lot of my colleagues, they were struggling. I also saw how it could be utilized effectively in the English classroom too. So I also started, before I knew what was happening, I was helping all my colleagues during my lunch break. So somehow that leader in me just said, you know what, let me just start helping everybody and see how he could. So you see that I didn't realize how my path was helping my colleagues, teachers, helping other students.
All right, Dr. Salau, let's quickly.
Oh, yeah, of course, I'll wrap up. And then I said identifying helpers and mentors. Yes, I also found people who helped me and nurtured me. And learning, you have to constantly keep on learning. And please, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be a failure.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I like the way you just said, all right. Like, let me just stop there.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
All right, so thank you very much. I mean, these are definitely words, true to your words. These are words from your heart, because all of this are coming from different experiences that you have gone through, and you have just put them in few words and giving it out to us. So thank you very much. And any other last words you want us to know, or something that you want to leave us with in just a few seconds?
Wow.
Okay, that's
all hands on deck. I want to say that the work that we're trying to do in education is not a one-man show. It is everybody in various ways coming together and seeing what we can all do. And the reason that I feel so passionately about it and so strongly is that we're all going to benefit from it. There's certain sectors that I call social goods. One of them is education. The other one is health. I mean, I tell everyone, I don't care if you have $1 million. If you're sick in the hospital, you don't care about that money
at all.
But if you're in good health, you're strong, you're healthy, oh my God, you're going to be rocking life. So education is a social good. It benefits everyone. Each of us being able to contribute economically to our communities benefits all of us.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Adetola Salau. It's very good to have you, speak to us from the very depths of your heart and, take us through your journey so far and, what's leading to this very point. So we're excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for allowing me to talk.
All right. So that's it, dear listener. I hope that you have learned and you have known that education is key. If you follow through her journey, you know that she wouldn't be where she is without education, without the voices that stood for her. So you can be a voice wherever you are. So please endeavor to lend your voice towards education, especially education of the girl child. And yes, we wish you all the best on the key initiatives and programs that you have right now and that you are going to come up with in Kwara and wherever you get to find yourself after your tenure here. So do want to stay with us right here on Women Radio WFM 91.7. A very big thank you to the team behind us, Adebola, our programs manager, and of course to our executive producer, Tomokiwale Shonaya, and to all the guys behind the scenes. Thank you very much for putting all of this together. So yeah, do want to stay with us. Coming up at 4 p.m. is the Big Tune Show, and of course, shout out. So you get to have your shout out and give it to anyone you want to do that to. My name is Rose Yusuf Kaiser. Do want to keep your dialogue to Women Radio WFM 91.7. Good afternoon.
In the month of June, which is the National Cancer Survivors Month, Women Radio 91.7 FM brings you powerful voices of courage and hope. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12:05 p.m. on The Big Question, we will feature brave survivors from the network of people impacted by cancer in Nigeria, NIPSIN, from breast to cervical, ovarian to colorectal. Hear real stories of strength, survival, and resilience. We are breaking the silence one voice at a time. Don't miss The Big Question, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12:05 p.m. throughout the month of June. This is brought to you by Women Radio 91.7 FM and NIPSIN. The Women Radio membership, they connect you with other market women, the ones who get their own business, students, so women where they stay house, even farmers and pensioners for the 36 states of Nigeria. As a Women Radio member, we go to promote your business for radio. You fit win better prizes and you fit even come our event. Just go download the Women Radio app today, make you hear yourself for radio. You fit go register free on top WFM917.com and make sure say you join the Facebook Women Radio membership group. The Women Radio membership gets support from MacArthur Foundation and Nigeria Media Innovation Program, NAM.